Yeah, Brooklyn's got his like introduction to middle school tomorrow. You know,
Yeah,
their
we
routes.
did that yesterday with Brooklyn. Yeah, we have lockers, and the lockers are the stupidest fucking way to open them.
Yeah.
Why?
They just don't work properly. Like, you don't have to go to the third number. You have to go past the third number, and then it just opens. So does that make any kind of sense?
So it's really 2 numbers.
It's like 2 numbers, but then you have to know which
Spin.
number to go past. And it's like 5 or 6 past the last number. And there's no like latch, so you don't stop on that last number and hit a latch.
Is there not a new tech for this type of thing at this point?
It completely boggles my mind. Like,
Just give them a
why
keypad.
and I think they are new lockers, because I don't remember. Like, I went to this junior high, we're going to go to the same one, and I don't remember having this kind of locker.
Well, there's been a decent amount of years between you and them.
I get it, but why would you go from normal?
Maybe what this is more normal. I mean, we wouldn't know.
It doesn't feel like. I mean, every kid freaks out. 2 years ago when Colin did the 6th grade, like, kids were crying because they couldn't do it.
It just
Parents
feels
were
like
sweating.
There should be more tech involved at this point.
I'm telling you, it's
Like
I
facial
agree.
recognition.
Yeah.
T-shirts wet with mom's spaghetti.
They're like, yeah, but kids' faces change over the course of the year. They literally couldn't get into their locker by the end.
It's stupid.
Welcome to our Film Fathers podcast, the definitive podcast about fatherhood, film, and fatherhood and film. This is Jelani, and with me as always are more of a game guy and a guy who can get you good KB from Iowa City, Martin and Brady.
Oh my God, look at the shape of her ass. It's a platonic ideal. That ass is a higher truth. Look at the little portal of light just below her crotch, right where the thigh meets the pudendum.
We're a package deal, AJ. You don't break up the band.
This week, as summer is winding to a close, we are reminiscing about those jobs worked during the magical time of year between school years. With 2 movies released 15 years apart that highlight just that, as well as the obligatory love story, both Adventureland and Snack Shack embody all of the feelings. What were some of your favorite summer jobs?
I didn't have any of the good ones.
I don't think I had nothing like this.
Nothing like this.
Nothing
No,
like
I
either
would
of
have
the-
loved working at the Snack Shack. Matt Clara worked at the Chicken Shack, we used to call it, KFC. Oh, man.
I started working. Actually, why I quit baseball. I quit playing baseball because it was like, all right, I could either start making some money and working. So when it came to high school, I just quit playing baseball because it was in the summer, and so I started working at a restaurant called Country Cone, and it was like a flat top grill, and so I was a cook. And essentially,
Nice.
like the dude that owned it was an Iranian guy,
Short order cook, Brady.
Mahmoud Jafarpour.
Hey,
I think
shout
that
out
was his name.
Mahmoud.
MJ. He went by MJ, and I would work a lot, and he would run the front, and then he would, like, during the slower times he would leave, and I would just run both, and then I was literally just run both, and then I just ran the entire place by myself, and everyone that knew me got free food.
Just selling food out the back.
No, out the front. They sat and ate it in the restaurant.
Yeah, I had all the standard ones. I did, mowing lawns. I lifeguarded, taught swim lessons. I caddied for a couple of years, but never had any of the crazy adventures. Like the best one, I think it was I crashed a Bennett end of the year graduation party because they had it at the pool. And I was one of the lifeguards, and I was like, well, let me just hang around and see what's going on here.
What's Bennett?
Bennett is
Bennett
high
Academy.
school.
Oh, okay.
High school.
Yeah, so
private
high
school out here.
In Naperville. So, nothing like these guys got to get into.
And any schemes? Well, I'll finish. My job in high school and in college was videotaping weddings. So, yeah, I would. My neighbor had a video production company, so that's what I would do in my summer time, which was actually kind of cool. Yeah, I mean they were huge now compared to how small the cameras are. I mean the batteries on these things were they weighed a lot.
It's funny. I would love to see like the new videographers today. Are they just walking around with like the rigs and then like an iPhone or an Android phone?
No, I mean they'll still have some type of. But I mean the
You
video
probably could.
cameras for stabilization, like you want it to be a little bit big. You want the lens to be bigger, and
Well, Brady's phone's got like 9 lenses on the back.
Yeah, dude.
I mean you definitely could. Like to your
someone's
point.
done it.
Yeah, absolutely. The people have
Like,
shot
we're gonna save money
professional
and,
wedding videos on
Yeah.
with iPhones.
You can buy
But-
accessories for these things.
Right. They get the rig that goes around your waist, and you can just kind of angle it. And,
Keeps it
You
steady.
want to have the steady cams.
right.
Yeah, I mean that. But the main thing you want to put it on a tripod too, because then you're really steady with it. And that's the main thing. So you want to have a little bit of weight to it.
So
there, but
old
not,
school.
Right.
Tripods.
All right.
It was,
Not-
it was funny
90s.
you bring up being a videographer because
you would do weddings with DJ, no?
I would DJ weddings. That was after college though, and but when we were watching National Treasure,
Yeah.
the kids were like looking. They're like, "What is he doing?" And he was actually holding like a video camera, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's how we used to take video. Like you couldn't just take it on your phone."
That's not actually the older way. The bigger old.
Oh
school
yeah, we
camcorder.
we told them about the bigger ones, but we're like that was a really small, tiny one that you could still do.
Yep.
Yeah, these movies, and we can start with Adventureland because it's older, and I think the one that it's been around obviously, but also was very successful in theaters.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
yeah.
so, especially
'Cause I
for
remember
the. Well, I
loving
guess
it.
there's a line right of like what,
Yeah.
where that constitutes, but
like a massive hit, or
I think it's
kind of a hit.
it was a.
Indie darling.
Yeah.
That's where
Okay.
I was going. I think it was an indie darling. It was one of those that over exceeded expectations
Got it.
and an amazing cast. But yeah, working the amusement park reluctantly, right? Like he goes and
Yeah.
hates that he has to take this job because he needs the money, and there's a whole world of fun and relationships to come
And
out.
Jesse
of it.
Eisenberg is just perfect for this role. You know, like this like
It's one of my
smart
notes.
talking, intellectual, guy who wants to go to New York, or he wanted to go to Europe, and wanted to move to New York, but he ends up at this park and still can't help but like try to sound smarter than everybody. I love this movie. I've only seen it one time before,
Same.
right when it came out.
Same.
And I've been meaning to rewatch it this whole time, like since it came out, because I remember I loved it so much. So I was really glad when you mentioned it to pair it with Snack Shack, because I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense, and I thought both of them were just great, just a great pairing.
This was a first timer for me.
I wondered if it could be.
I've seen his other land movie more often, Zombieland.
Okay,
But so it
that's
was
a great one too, right,
It
for
was
him.
so good. But
Yeah.
again, like you said, Martin, like his character and just Jesse Eisenberg in general, like plays the same like type of character, which is one of the notes that I took. Like Ryan Reynolds makes an appearance in this film, but he's not the Ryan Reynolds that we know. Like he's more subdued and things.
He's
like
a little
that.
bit more douchey, right?
Well, he's an
Yeah.
asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sucks. But I would argue that he is not. I said Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds. As a
no,
note,
I'm more on Jelani's team on this one.
but I would say in 2009, Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds.
Sure.
Obviously, I think a lot has changed since then to a degree. Obviously, he's a superstar, and maybe is less so now the same.
Yeah.
But like, I would argue he's not a terrible variation on a little less witty and
Yeah,
sarcastic.
he's
than you're
not
used
Van
to.
Wilder or Deadpool.
But it's closer to Waiting,
Yeah.
where
I kind of like waiting. I know you don't.
yeah, it's
You're like, what's with all the showing of the nutsacks? We didn't do that in the kitchen. We didn't do that at the what was it called again? The cozy
Country
cone?
Cone?
Country Cone,
Country Cone.
Cozy Cone.
Cozy Cone. That's
Country
from
Cone.
Cars.
Wait, you mentioned the Country Cone before.
It's possible.
Yeah,
something
that's where
about
you
a
went
record.
Banana
the
split
banana
record.
split
Banana
record.
split record.
Yeah, 52
What was it
seconds.
again? Still makes me laugh. That's funny. That's good. But yeah, okay.
So I think yes.
He
Again,
wasn't that far from Ryan Reynolds, but I know what you're saying, Jelani. He's
Right.
He's a
As
little bit different.
whereas Jesse Eisenberg is Jesse Eisenberg.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the same guy that you would see in Adventureland, or Zombieland. This is the same guy that's in Social Network. Like it's the same character.
he is.
He's Zuckerberg.
I don't want to say he's limited, but he is a type, and
Yeah.
he is good at that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
But I also related to his character.
Oh, for
you
sure.
know, like that was definitely me. I was definitely a little more
you were,
dorky.
you were the
and-
romantic.
definitely romantic, and I could see, so, and then watching it the second time, knowing what's going on, there's that scene when they're driving in the car together, and he's like looking over at her, and he's like, you could tell he thinks they're both falling in love together, when she's obviously her head's elsewhere because she just ran into Ryan Reynolds at the bar, and I'm just like, yeah, I know that feeling. I know what you think you're hitting it off, but it's not exactly going where you think it's going.
Well,
Or there's something else
Kristen
you don't
Stewart's
know.
another one who is
Yeah.
very much. She's I said they're both perfectly cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's the same.
Yeah.
In my opinion, as in a lot of her roles. I know she's grown to done some more different stuff now, but her entire personality is very much what she was known for at that time, and she plays it, of course, perfectly. She's a great actress.
Yeah, I haven't seen all the Twilight movies.
Oh no,
and definitely don't love that whole thing. But I thought she was great in this. I loved her in this. Yeah,
I have seen all the Twilight movies. Jenna was a big Twilight fan, or still is, I guess. But yeah, like you said, it was funny because I was watching the movie and I'm thinking about like all the people who have done impressions of Kristen Stewart, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's why they do all those impressions, because that's exact. The hair over the ear, and then just like the pausing and it was just like, oh okay.
There's one more person. There's one other person that is
Martin Starr.
Martin Starr, who is very much the same.
Yeah, he's so good in
He's
this,
made
too.
He made a career out of being
a
that.
freaking geek.
Exactly.
Did you guys watch Freaks and Geeks?
Not religiously.
I did not.
No.
It's Linda Cardellini.
Yeah,
and
I know all about it.
Segel.
It might be worth.
I missed it when it
going
was
back.
on, and I think I was going to go back, and I just never got around to it.
It was like one of those. I didn't watch it when it was on the air, but very early DVD. Right.
I want to say I watched like an
I got-
episode or two, and
it
I
was
was like, I think
Netflix
I
when it was
missed
back
my
on DVDs.
Yeah,
That's when I watched
I think
it.
I missed my chance. I think I watched a couple, and I was like, I don't know, this isn't doing it for me, and I'm like, I'm just not going to go down the road.
Yeah.
Sam Levine.
Yeah, but yeah, Martin Starr, a little bit of a breakout from that show as well. But like for this type of character, and he's great in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Right, you guys watched that? Right?
That was actually when I. Funnily enough, my note is Martin Starr really made a career out of being the same guy until Silicon Valley, and he was a better. He had a lot more to do in that,
Yeah.
and it wasn't just be this guy.
Yeah, but to some degree, not that far off. Again, maybe like the Ryan Reynolds.
Dry for sure. He was more of just like a dick in Silicon Valley.
Guilfoyle, so good. There's another character. The soundtrack, man. I mean, the music of this is so good.
From Yola Tango.
Yeah, right. They
you
did the
see
music.
that?
I did
That's
see
what
that.
it said. They did the music, but
So
they
is
just
that like
picked
the-
all the music that they played because there was a lot of music. That
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah,
them.
I don't know that there was a lot of score to it,
Right.
but maybe there
it
was.
caught my eye because I was like, "Oh, Martin will definitely."
I mean, there's not a song on the soundtrack that I don't love, and I think I've talked about it before. I love the Replacements, one of my favorite bands of all time, if not the favorite. And they have two Replacement songs in this, and it starts out with one. So like right when I put it on and I hear one of my favorite songs from my favorite bands opening, I'm like, yes, this is why I loved it as well. The soundtrack, I totally forgot about how good it was. They have Husker Du, Big Star, Lou Reed, of course. And New York Dolls, The Outfield, In Excess, just great stuff. The Cure.
I had a note about the music mostly because I figured it would just get you rolling in a music conversation. But one note I saw was that in initial drafts of the script or early versions, that the musician idolized by Eisenberg's character and was actually Neil Young, not Lou Reed. And they had written that Connell played alongside him and was the musician got replaced with Lou Reed. They had even a couple songs were planned for us. I don't know exactly the ins and outs of why, but I would have preferred that because I like Neil Young.
Neil Young. Yeah, it might fit a little bit better in the whole like indie rock, late '80s, thing that they were going for. But not like Lou Reed's fully into that either. He's a little bit earlier than that. But it makes sense. More of an idol to, I think, both of them. And she had great T-shirts. She had a Lou Reed T-shirt.
She did.
And I can't remember what else. But there,
There
some
was
other
another
ones.
one, and I can't remember either.
Maybe a Bowie poster or
Husker
something.
Du was one of the other ones that she had, didn't she?
She did. Oh yeah, she did. Yeah, Husker Du for sure.
didn't-
And that song is great.
You didn't love the Falco, Rock Me On My Days over and
I
over again?
do like that song. I'm okay with it, but I could also see how you'd want to. What did he say? Do you have an ice fix I could stick in my ear? If you heard it 20 times a day.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
right? That would
Yeah.
have to be.
Yeah, for sure.
So, when this movie came out, it caught my eye for multiple reasons. One of which being the name Adventureland. Interestingly enough, the writer grew up near this park or amusement park, Adventureland.
In the East Coast somewhere, or like
It's in
they're
Farmingdale,
Pennsylvania?
New York.
Oh, New York. Okay.
Not and which
They
is-
said it in Pennsylvania, but it was
They said it because the park had been like completely different. It was so different than what he grew up at that he didn't want to do it. So they set it at this place, Kennywood Park in Pittsburgh. But what caught my eye is that there is an Adventureland in Altoona, Iowa, which is kind of by Des Moines. So that was the amusement park that we knew in Iowa. Like, that's where you would go at some point. It was like, oh, you went to Adventureland.
It was your version of Kittyland or Santa's
Village.
So that's like where I rode my first roller coaster. And yeah, I mean, very small scale compared to like what you guys had here with like Six Flags. But
Yeah, I mean, we were saying, Six Flags wasn't until
You got
we were a little
older.
bit older, but
Yeah.
like Kittyland and Santa's Village were the two that we would go to when you were kids. They had great.
Just simple rides, and you just go and have some fun.
well, Adventureland had like, I mean, when I went, they had like, a couple roller coasters that had like a loop. That was like a big deal. They had a wooden
That
roller
is a
coaster.
pretty big deal. I don't think we had any loops in any of those.
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit more advanced than like
Yeah.
the Santa's Village
Yeah.
vibe, but then not. It's in between that and Six
Great
Flags,
America,
Great
Cedar
America.
Point.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was interesting because when it did come out, I was like, Adventureland, set in an amusement park. I'm like, what? But it had nothing to do with it. And apparently, at one time there was another Adventureland in Indiana. But yeah, I just thought that was
Taken over by Indiana Beach.
little fun fact.
There is more than corn in Indiana.
Exactly.
Beautiful Lake Schaefer in Monticello, Indiana.
We used to go down there all the time. All the time.
I've been there once. What did you? I remember not loving Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig when they first saw it, but I thought not looking back or watching him now because I love those two
Right.
more than I did in 2009. I thought they were great, and I thought the scene with the corn dogs, it made me laugh so hard. He's like, "So, did you forget to refrigerate these?" Such a perfect little addition, little comedy.
See, one of my favorite. I think my favorite scene with them is when he's getting chased, and she just like throws the bat up like into the air, and he catches it, and it's just like such a different vibe from like what you're getting from them.
I saw a
the
bit
entire
of Barry.
time.
I was
right?
like, "Oh wait, this is very tapped into for
It's
Barry."
that one gets me because like it just nothing remotely can prepare you for like them being ready for that situation, and like Kristen Wiig especially.
Yeah.
She's so like docile, and all of a sudden she just like throws the bat up into the air. It's such an amazing moment.
It was very, very good. And then they go right back to it afterwards.
right.
You don't even ask a question as to what you did. Did you mess up? Did you lose a giant panda? Nope.
They
who
just
cares?
know that's part of the deal at Adventureland.
So yeah, they were a nice little comic relief.
I saw they like filmed their scenes in like a couple days because they were still shooting SNL.
Yeah.
They also said what was a really interesting fact is that when they shot this, there was snow everywhere. They melted all the snow so that it didn't look
So it looked like summer?
So it looked like
winter.
summer.
Yeah.
And even like would have people stand in front of the windows when they were shooting because there was snow falling, and so they were essentially blocking the fact that they were shooting in winter. Which I was like, you'd never have known it.
No.
So, I was. It was a really fun rewatch. I kind of what you said, Martin. I saw it when it first came out, and I fondly remembered it. But it's been a while, 15 years.
Yeah.
And so I right back into it, and I'm like, God, still so entertaining.
Yeah.
But in like a slow, in a different type of way.
And
than
in
some
some,
movies.
had some heartfelt moments too.
Yeah.
And like the moment when he walks up to her and sees her coming out of Ryan Reynolds' the
mom's
basement. And she's just distraught. She just said she hates herself and she's breaking it off with him. And I felt really bad for her, like that she didn't really mean to do this to him. And she didn't really do anything, but I felt his pain as well. So yeah, it was really, I don't know, a really good script, really well written, really well acted. And just a surprise. Yeah. Like you said, like an indie darling. It's not, it's like nothing. There's some elements of it that are like, it's just like a teen or college movie, but it subverts a lot of those things, and it's a unique story.
Would you
so I
call it a
appreciate that.
rom-com?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not really. It's not it's
It's a comedy.
not just a comedy,
Right.
But there's definitely romantic moments, and the nostalgia plays, and yeah, lots of other stuff too.
And he pretty much he had started writing this and didn't really know how he was going to get to make it. And what did it is what he directed 2 years before it, and that was Superbad. Apatow gave him that break. He essentially that success afforded him the luxury to be able to essentially try to make the movie that he had written, and it was on the blacklist I like to call that out when it is.
Who's that? That's the writer you're saying?
Well, writer and director.
Oh, it's Greg.
It's Greg Motola.
Yeah,
could go either way there.
Tommy's little brother.
Yeah.
Sony Music.
So he did Confess Fletch, the new
Ham
Fletch.
one?
Yeah,
Did you ever see that?
I did. I liked it.
Yeah,
It was worth a watch, but I also like the original Fletch. Chevy Chase. I don't really remember the sequel as much, Fletch Lives or whatever, but yeah, it was a worthwhile movie. Yeah, he directed it too. Yeah, that's right.
but yeah, I thought it was interesting to see this movie. In order to have a chance, you really have to have something to stand on, and it's like, God, if he doesn't get that directing job, does this movie ever get the forks in the road?
Yeah.
But then to get a cast like this is really impressive. Like, it's just a really, really solid cast through and through, and you get some of the younger actors as well as Hader and Wig are SNL people, so that's good because they aren't to movie star level at that point. They're still on SNL.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a degree of a transition here into the newest Snack Shack. I wonder there's going to be a lot more of seeing the young stars of this movie, I think, here moving forward. I'll tell you right now, I freaking love this movie.
Oh, I wasn't sure. I'm so relieved. When you walked in here, I'm like, I can't tell if he is gonna gush about it or had some problem with it.
I've just got a gray cloud hanging over my head in life, but
Yes.
I thought this movie was awesome, and I've already told so many people about to watch it whenever it's not on MGM Plus.
I watched it again. So I watched it a couple weeks ago, and then I was very glad to just give it a rewatch right away because it was that good. And I understand maybe some people aren't going to love it, but I'm like, I don't care. I appreciate this movie. I think it's one that I'll watch a bunch of times.
I will stake my name on it for sure. Jelani, first watch for you, I bet.
Yeah, first watch, but I loved it as soon as I saw it. It was so enjoyable.
Dude, they're ripping heaters at an OTB to start the movie. Like, what a freaking amazing start.
I love the just like the aspect of the hustler, right? You got the friend who's hustling, and they're both in on it. They got a whole plan. They got all these schemes, and they're like, all right, this is great. You go in thinking, all right, this plan A that they got is going to just take off, and they're going to run it, and then that gets blown up, and you're just like, what the fuck now? Now what are they going to do with it? And then, the schemer Moose is just like, don't worry, I got this. We're going to turn this, we're going to take your thing and turn that into 4 things. And then we're going to take those 4 things and turn those into 16. And we're going to just keep it moving. And, it's just fun to see having someone with that mindset going. And then the other guy just kind of I'm going along.
They work
for the
so
ride.
well off each other.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
That's really, I think, their
what it is.
chemistry is unbelievable for them, especially these actors. They are, AJ is so awkward.
Connor Sherry.
And just generally looks awkward compared to Moose. But they have such a ridiculous chemistry from start to finish.
Yeah.
And it is the lifeblood of the movie, right?
Yeah.
It's all it's successful because of how well those guys work off each other. And there's plenty other good stuff going on, but those two are, and I talked about
I was just gonna say Gabriel Labelle, the guy who plays Moose, even more so. Sure, they were good together, but I feel like Gabriel Labelle's going to be a star.
Well, you saw The Fabelmans?
Yeah, I did see
not.
The Fabelmans.
I know he essentially played the Spielberg character.
Yeah, he plays Spielberg, and he was great in that too, good in that.
Well, you already know his next role.
I do know his next
so
role.
he's playing Lorne Michaels in that new trailer, the new movie
new
Saturday Night.
Yeah.
So
that's going to be his star
turn.
turn, and then everyone's going to come back to this movie after they see that and be like, "Oh, okay," and then they're going to rediscover this one.
And let's just not gloss over Brooke.
She was great, right?
Awesome. And I swore I would have lost a lot of money that I had seen her in
She
another
looked
movie.
very familiar, but
I
couldn't
haven't.
find it.
You can. I her whole IMDb of never seen any of this stuff.
So who does she look like then? Is that what it is? She looks like somebody else.
So
maybe?
it's not the same by any means, but in a weird way, I felt like she was reminiscent of what's her name, the girl in Scott Pilgrim versus the World that he.
Emily Winstead.
That's not her
Mary
name.
Mary Elizabeth.
Mary
Winstead,
Elizabeth
sorry.
Winstead. In my brain, I don't think they look the same.
Right, but I hear
But
you.
there was something about that's who that's where my brain went in terms of just a really, really attractive girl that like the main character kind of falls in love with. And that's where I was like hung up on. And so I haven't really gotten past that. But I don't know who she looks like. She looks like somebody because I really would have swore I saw her in something, and nothing she's been in I've seen.
Yeah, I agree.
Because she hasn't been in a lot.
But yeah, she was pretty perfect and a great character.
Yeah. I mean, super hot.
Other than
obviously.
Shitpig.
Yeah, that part I totally
Could have had a better nickname.
Oh, I'm with you.
fine with the nickname, and I'm fine with like something that he
You're
didn't
fine with
like.
the nickname? I'm not fine with the nickname. I'm fine with a nickname, but
A
not
nickname.
that.
That's what I'm saying. A nickname. But I didn't like it. Didn't make any sense. You know, she sees him when he's mowing the lawn and sneezing.
Yeah,
and
I agree with you. I don't love it. I just there's something
That's my only technicality.
that's a weakness. The dude who played Shane, Nick Robinson.
Yeah.
We know him.
From Jurassic World, which I just Colin was watching, and I'm like, oh, is that right?
I feel like I know him from something else.
There is some. He's
I know
known
what
for
he's
other
from.
stuff too, but
I know what he's Love Simon is what
Love
I
Simon,
know
that's the one.
him from. He plays the main character who's like a kid who's gay, and I want Jennifer Garner maybe. I remember seeing that. He looked really familiar, and I couldn't place him, but that's definitely where I first saw him.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's probably his
Jurassic World. I think he might have been
known
too
for.
young for me to know who it was.
He was
at
the
that
older brother of the two, and Colin's a big fan,
That
so I've
makes
seen
sense.
it many
Yeah.
times.
Dude, it says he was in Boardwalk Empire 8 years ago. How young was he at this point?
Yeah, he must have been a little someone's kid or someone's little brother. Or
but that was a nice little heartfelt storyline that came along. You obviously could tell there was a Big Brother vibe with him and AJ. And like, dude, when the dad walked in, I'm like, well, it was
knew,
when he
right?
pulled away.
Yeah.
I was like, because I was like,
Same.
are we going to remember the Titans? Is he getting T-boned here at the intersection? And no, and sure enough, when the dad came in, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, you
It
knew
happened.
it was coming. And like I said, I watched this movie twice in only a couple of weeks. I
Still
bawled both times.
Yep.
Probably even harder the second time. And really, I'll tell you, the moment that got me is when he sees Moose. Right, that's when.
Yeah.
And he just goes, "What the fuck?" And they just hug each other.
It's-
I was like,
nothing else
I
matters.
Lost it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost it both times. So it was really good. You would think that would be. I don't know. Could be like you said. You could have maybe predicted it from the beginning. Like it just seemed like
Not from the beginning. I
gonna
mean,
happen
literally
or early on.
whatever, 10 minutes before when
Yeah.
he drops off the birthday gift and like peels out. There's a weird shot of like they linger on him leaving, and I'm like, okay, he just left. Like it felt
Right.
It like tripped a trigger in my brain.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't like, I was like, oh, is he getting hit by a car? No.
Right.
Okay, on and over and done with.
Yeah.
Then the dad's like, I need to talk to you, and I was like,
Wags comes in.
but Wags,
the bad news.
Judge.
Judge Wags. Or what's his also name? Gail Bedecker.
Gail
Right.
Bedecker.
From Breaking
So
Bad.
funny.
and
He's
from,
played an array.
Billions. Yeah.
He was
Always
awesome.
good. He was good in this too.
Don't forget he was in Suits.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Really?
I'd have to take your word for it.
Did
He's
not
the
know.
partner that they ousted the firm.
That probably started it all for him, right? Was that before Breaking Bad? Or
No, I think Breaking Bad was
Okay.
first.
All right.
I
Actually,
think he's been.
I
in a lot
lied.
of
There's
stuff,
another
though.
take technicality I have.
Oh wow, dude. Judge only has 3 known fors.
It's got to be those three.
I'm just
Billions.
saying, for a guy who's been around. I mean, like, yeah, dude, you can't throw a 4th up there. Like,
He's been in more things.
no, it's Billions, Breaking Bad, Lincoln. He's in the movie
okay.
Lincoln.
Yep. I've seen it.
So Suits didn't get you love.
Suits doesn't make it.
No,
I mean,
Didn't even make it in the 4th. It's just
16
blank.
episodes.
They would rather leave it blank than put Suits up there, bro.
It's harsh.
which I
It's
get.
harsh.
So my other take technicality is, did we say cringe in 91? She definitely said, you're looking a little cringe, bro.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's a
Can't
little bit
remember.
of...
yeah, probably a little later, revisionist
yeah, just
history type of thing.
Exactly, yeah. And we talked about... Oh,
I was just gonna say there was a TikTok now that I'm on.
Yeah.
There's a thread about that.
Welcome.
Thank you. About like words that you feel like are out of place because of the time period.
Yeah.
But when in actuality they worked, like having somebody in like the 16th century say Tiffany, like use that as a name, but that was actually a popular name. Or unfriend. It was another one that were like people were like, oh, nobody in the Renaissance would have said unfriend, but actually that's when it originated.
It's it.
Yeah. So it might have It might have been there.
You think it's?
You lost me on the Tiffany thing.
Because they think it's like an '80s name, popular in
Yeah, no.
It actually was. Back in the day.
I will say I didn't even, initially I didn't really know where it was, where this was setting, where the setting was.
Nebraska, baby.
I obviously picked up on that throughout.
No, they had it in the title card in the beginning.
But I was like, oh hell yeah, man! They're dipping over into Iowa. Kids
Council Bluffs.
getting banned from Iowa. So the note I saw was that so very similar, right? Like to the Adventureland movie, the writer director, excuse me, Adam Reamer. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but
I'm sure you butchered it.
he grew up in Nebraska and really wanted to set it back in Nebraska. Like, didn't get all the filming tax credits that they could have got, like somewhere else. But he really was kind of dead set on like really wanting like the nostalgia of filming back close to where he was from. And he told a story that like there was a track in Council Bluffs, but similar to the story we just talked about with Adventureland, the track was gone now, and so the closest track was in Dubuque, Iowa, but that wasn't really available for shooting, and so they ended up having to use they turned it into an OTB in the story because it was like the best thing they could do that allowed them to actually like make it work. But that, like all the people back home, like they were able to shut down streets in this small town. They said like the two boys went and like rode their bike, like essentially like got the lay of the land, riding their bikes around town for like weeks beforehand, so they knew exactly like where to go and all that. And I was like, dude, this is me envisioning like my hometown becoming the center of a film.
I figured this would be closest to your probably upbringing just because of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it would have been cool. I mean, we had the pool. I don't remember. We didn't really have a snack shack per se, but I feel like there would have been a lot more drama with just the one instance of writing "fuck" on the hot dog. On the hot dogs.
I love the fuck dog.
And not only that, but like every time they open it, they're like, "What the fuck?" They're fucking swearing like all these like 6-year-olds.
Get 2 fucking lines, you fucking animals, and there's a mom right there.
100%.
Just letting it happen.
I know. I let all that go.
They barely,
because it was just funny.
I can remember growing up what we did. Like that swearing wasn't something that was very fast and loose, everywhere. It was like I barely swore around my parents until I graduated high school, right? Like
Right.
It was not something you threw around so loosely,
I
let
loved
alone
it.
like at the town pool.
I just loved it when he opened it, and then the kid asks for the fuck dog, and Moose doesn't know what it is. And he's just like, "What the fuck is this group talking about?" Just write "fuck" on the dog with ketchup and charge 75 cents more. It's brilliant. I love it. Get your fuck dogs.
Fuck dogs.
So I thought
This shouldn't be as funny as it is.
my initial thought, like when they started out and they were doing the beers, what they were going to sell the beer out of the snack shack.
True
Yeah.
story, by the way. The dude, they did.
He did.
Literally, yeah.
I mean, he was way ahead of the curve in '91.
that's what
doing
I
craft
thought.
beer.
Home
I
brew kits?
legit was like, were people able to do this type of thing? He said that was legit. Like that part's straight true.
Yeah, I just wonder how they learned. A library probably.
Yep.
Get a homebrew.
He said they
book in the
realized it
library or
was
something.
not, it was illegal to buy beer, but it wasn't illegal to buy everything they needed to make it.
That's awesome. Yeah. But it's just great. Like you said, the scheming of two friends. I mean, it just is instantly appealing, I think, for any male.
Yeah.
Any red-blooded American male. My second viewing, I tried to show Lindsay, and yeah, she made it through maybe about 20 minutes before she's like, "Is it all like this?" Because it is just this frenetic guy smoking,
Yeah.
swearing at each other, punching each other, nut tapping each other. We didn't talk about nut tapping on the last one.
Frigo.
God, everyone knows a Frigo, right?
He wasn't even nut tapping. He was strate punching.
just punching.
punching.
I
You're right.
didn't
Yeah.
like Frigo,
Yeah.
by the way.
Frigo needed to
Nut
knock
tap
the
you
fuck
could
out.
do, but he definitely needed to go down. Yeah. He's just like,
Sooner
"I hate
than
you."
when it happened. I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will.
But it's for guys.
I've
This
only
is-
told men
Yeah.
about this movie. I will say that. But it's one I will definitely watch again. Well, I say that I hope to watch again. Relatively soon, as opposed to like a decade from now, and I remember that it exists.
Right.
But I hope you're right in that that dude's success, seemingly imminent success, will lead to people discovering, and kind of finding They need some TikTok clips out there. They need
well, that is initially what turned me on to it, was somebody talking
someone
about it.
talking about it. But
I haven't seen
it's not in your
anything
algo
since then. Yeah, it's not in my algo anymore. It hasn't hit my FYP since.
The thing that I liked about both of these movies that we watched, like, I guess the underlying goal obviously is like a teenage rom-com, like trying to have sex, right? But it wasn't made overt, right? Like American Pie or any of the, teenage crazed sex comedies, right? It was like, that's there, and that like that's kind of the goal that one of the characters have, but they just kind of played it well enough where it's like, all right, I know that's in the back of his mind. He'd love for that to happen, but there's all this other stuff that's going on that takes precedence, and it keeps you involved in the story rather than it just being a teen sex crazed comedy.
Well, it's not solely about that. So
Yeah,
like,
right.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying, which I think helps the whole the general like quality of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I don't think we all would have probably said that at all times, but I do think that that's a good third or fourth storyline, and then there's payoff or close to it on one, but and I like it. I get like that stuff matters, and I think that the relationship of in the first movie and Adventureland, blanked there for a millisecond. Like they seem impossible. Like it does seem like it's never going to happen, right? Like you see a dorky or dweeby or kid as opposed to this guy who's ranting or telling everyone that he hangs out with Lou Reed, and he's this cool dude who's somehow a maintenance worker at the park, which is
He would never look like Ryan Reynolds. Let's be honest.
right. Like there's probably a difference, right? Like, but and then you have again, I would say a dorkier looking guy who is in this love triangle with this smoking hot girl next door, and she somehow digs him over Moose. I
mean, even I'd go for Moose.
the better looking, of the two, but doesn't have the substance, and they both think that these guys are cool,
Right.
Yeah.
and coolest and cutest guys they've ever met, right? Even I'd go for Moose.
Well, I mean, I felt AJ's pain, right? Because I grew up with cool friends that always got the girl over me. So yeah, I understand. But I like to see that he made it in the end. Back to the soundtrack, or not back to, but we talked about the soundtrack in the last one. I thought this one was great too. They could have used a few more 91 hits. But maybe they just didn't make it to Nebraska quite yet.
Well,
what I would have loved to see is like a little Naughty by Nature, a little OPP. That was a huge hit in '91.
there was I read an interview with the writer director, and he talked about like with fashion how everything took a little longer to get to Nebraska. So you're not way off base there.
Yep.
But he said like the EMF song "Unbelievable" was always going to be his montage song.
That's a given.
Yeah.
And the Timmy T song "One More Try" that was always.
We used to go to roller skating parties, and that one was the common couple skate.
I just thought
sure.
that was really funny that he said that. And he was just like he was very locked in on a couple songs. And
how about "Hanging Tough"? New Kids on the Block.
Songs that you wanted in there?
No, that was
that in there?
It was in there.
I don't know if I remember.
The sisters were doing the dance to it, and they were like, "Hey, check it out." It was very brief
When they were the cheerleaders, right? His sister, AJ's sister.
They were grilling the hot dogs, and he was telling them about
That's right.
being in the
Shane's sister,
fraternity, pledging Sigma Chi. Did he say Sigma Chi?
I think it was Sigma Chi.
Yeah, he did.
So they
Sigmachis?
played a little bit, played Hanging Tough, and what else was good? What I really liked, we talked about the music from Yo La Tengo in the last one. The score in this one was good, though. It had like a synthy vibe to it, and there was only a few times where it came out, but it was really good. And then there was one part in particular when she gets him to come out when he's dog ass tired and just wants to sleep.
Right.
And they're walking the streets, and they have that synth, and then it goes right into Age of Consent, but it's like a cover of it I guess it's performed by Geographer, but that's a New Order song that I love, but they do it in a little more subdued manner that worked perfectly with the score. I just thought that whole sequence and everything when they're looking at each other in the back of the truck, just great. Like,
Yeah, he said
moment.
Urban Dance Squad's Deeper Shade of Soul was when they're doing the night swim. It's like that's one of my favorite mainstream deep cuts.
I don't even know that one. Do I?
If you don't, then no one could.
Do you though?
No. He said the only one that I cut that was scripted was there's a scene where AJ's dancing to Dramarama alone at the snack shack that was originally written in the script as Grinding Halt by The Cure. He's like, that's one of my top 5 Cure tracks of all time. But
I don't even know that song, but I know anything.
who are you?
No, I like the one that they have. Dramarama, anything is such a great song.
When he mentioned like that unbelievable EMF's unbelievable when that song came out, I was like, oh my god, talk about
that's 91.
100%.
Yeah.
A snapshot.
The only difference if they could have added some Technotronic.
Yeah,
That would have been right there.
Down for all that. Yeah.
God, really, really, really like this movie. So I can't believe you even questioned it. To be honest, this is.
I didn't really, but you just never. Sometimes you never know. I don't know.
I feel like Jelani was more likely to be anti.
I was really hoping, and I knew I loved it.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if you said you loved it. To be honest, I was actually thinking
I also
about
didn't
that.
want to.
I
oversell it.
But I legitimately,
I
I
wanted
was
to
like,
save it for
I
the
wonder
pod.
if you. I couldn't remember if you said you thought it was just okay or if you really liked it. But I'll watch it again.
Yeah, you want to make out to Combat Shock?
Sure.
What is Combat Shock?
Don't know.
I don't know either. I figured is this like a common movie to make out to in Nebraska in 91? I don't know.
I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
I was.
I wasn't in Nebraska in '91, so I couldn't tell you.
She asked it like it was like a thing to do.
I agree. That does feel like that movie must mean something. Oh, maybe that's an
Felt
inside
very
joke
specific.
with
It's
him.
40% Rotten Tomatoes, and it's 1984.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I assume it's bad.
It's a Troma movie. Do you know what Troma Entertainment?
The Toxic Avenger.
Toxic Avengers. So maybe it was a thing with that. Toxic Avenger is such a fucking funny movie. It's so weird and great. Troma Productions. But yeah, this is an all timer. For maybe only for people in our demographic, but
yeah, that's a possibility.
But I don't care.
I told younger people, so
Unapologetic.
we'll see if they feel the same way. Hopefully, they do.
Summer is coming to a close, everybody.
I know, right? How the fuck did that happen already? I think we say that every year, always, right?
Yeah.
About this time, but
It goes fast.
it really does.
Yeah, it flew by this
Did
year.
I do
though.
anything this year? It's all kid sports all the time. Still,
That's why I think it's nice to go back to these two and just, kind of reminisce about simpler times when you could just work
Yeah.
the snack shack or the games.
I love that they paid $3,000.
It could have been 300.
I was gonna say, like right after they did that, I was like, just take it back.
Yeah.
Make it 350.
Yeah, how are you?
500.
How are you still not getting it? Right? Yeah, that was a good misdirect by the other crew.
Yeah. As always, we don't say goodbye. Just see you later. Thanks, and save it for the pod.